Good morning, students. So, this is our second part of chapter 1 in history for class 8. Okay, we have completed part 1 for the same chapter. Now, we will move to part 2, chapter 1, how, when, and where. Okay. Before starting the chapter, we will revise about part 1. What have we learned? Okay, so that if anything has been missed by you, you can understand very properly. Okay, so before moving to part 1, let's have a look on the contents and then a quick revise on part 1. Okay, so note down the contents. Now, let's have a look on the content. What have we learned in part 1 and what are we going to learn in part 2? Okay? Now, in part 1, we had seen about the introduction of history. We had also seen how important are the dates. When these dates are linked with the events, how important they are. Okay, we had seen which dates become important when some big incident or an event, you can say historical event, when some big historical events occur. Okay, such kind of dates, they become very important. We had learned the method of periodization. Method of periodization means the British, you can say like James Mill. James Mill had divided the Indian history into 3 parts. Okay, and our Indian historians, they had divided the Indian history into 3 parts. We had learned that because of this periodization, or you can say the British rule, what was colonial? We had learnt that also. Colonization or colonial, the one and the same. Now, here in part 2, we will now see some sources of history and the issues related with it. Okay, some sources of history means we will see like the official records which will be preserved by the Britishers, and about some non-official records. Okay, we will also see about the surveys done by the Britishers. So how are these sources important to us? What do we learn from that? Everything we will see in this chapter. Okay, and we will have a quick revise on part 1. Fine. Now, looking at part 2. Before moving to part 2, you should know about something about part 1. Now, we can also counter this as we have completed our one section of part 1. You can say that. In this one section, what did we see? We saw about we had seen the concept of how, when and where, right? We had seen the periodization. Okay, we had also seen which dates are important. I had told you in part 1 that the dates are important, but they are important because of the events. If the events are not there, then the dates would have never been got that importance. Okay, so okay, after knowing about all these things, we have come to know about one part. Okay, now the second part says that how did we know about this history? How did we come to know about this history? Okay, how did we come to know about the history? This we will look in this section. How do we know what we know? It means the as much we know about the history, how we know about it? Okay, by what sources do we know about the history? Okay, so let's have a look on this topic. So let's take the first point. Administration produces records. Okay, this is the subtopic of this. This is the subtopic of this main topic. How do we know? Means administration produces records. If I ask you, how do we know about the last 250 years of the Indian history? Okay, what would be your answer? Now, as if I ask you, how old are you? You'll say, ma'am, 13, 14, right? Now, if I ask you something about before 2 years, okay, you'll easily remember. But before 10 years, you'll remember something little bit, but not more. But what about if I ask you about what happened before 20 years? Then you would say that I was not born at that time, but I have come to know because of my parents. My parents have told me this. Okay, but what about 250 or 300 years ago? How would we know about it? It can be known by the books, by the written history, written by the historians. Okay? Now, reading the book, as if you can say that, ma'am, we have heard from you. Okay, I am reading in the book. But where have these sources come from in the book? Okay, where have these sources come in the book? One important source is the official records of the British administration. Okay, means here you can say that the British believed that the art of writing was very important. They thought that whatever administration work they had to do should be done everything in written. Okay, the British felt that all the important letters and documents should be carefully preserved. Every instructions, plan, policy, decision, agreement, investigation had to be clearly written up. This was the belief or you can say thinking of the Britishers. Okay, once this was done, things would be properly studied and debated. Means whatever administration work is to be done, if it is done in a written way, any point of time they could take out these things and they could study and debate it well. They can have a meeting on it, but it can only be done when it was being written. So we know about the history of 250 years ago by the written work of the British administration. Okay, now after this all written work, now the Britishers felt that whatever letters or whatever documents they have written it should be preserved very carefully. So for that they set up a record room. They set up a record room attached to the administrative institutes. Okay, and the institutes, now which institute? They were such as called like archives. Okay, archives are the rooms where the documents are being stored. Okay, and also the museums were established for preserving this kind of records. Whatever written work or written documents were there by the British administration. Okay, why did the Britishers do this? The Britishers first of all did this because they wanted that before they wanted to rule India, they wanted everything to know about India, and everything, whatever they wanted to know about India, they had written it in a document. They had made documents of it, so that while ruling India, it would be an easy task for them. Okay. Now these written documents, the letters or the memos you can say, they moved from one branch to another. Okay, And so you can also study the notes and the reports that district officials prepared, or the instructions and directives that were sent by the officials. Okay, and it is also said that these documents, they were copied by the calligraphist. Calligraphist means the one those who are specialized in a art of beautiful writing. Means these documents which were being made by, or you can say the records which were being made by the British administration or the Britishers, they were sent to different places also, so to their different branches, and after that copies of it was being made, because at that time printing press was not there. So everything whatever they want to do, they had to write it with hand. Okay, and slowly, and then these documents were sent to different branches. Now those official records of the British administrative offices and governments are the important source of our history. If we want to learn about history, these official records of the British administration are the best, or you can say are the important source. Reading to that documents, we can easily know about know about our history. Okay, they clearly wrote down every plan, instruction, policy, decision, agreement and investigation. Whatever they investigated, whatever policies they put out, whatever decisions they had taken, each and everything they have mentioned very clearly in their documents. And reading to that documents, we can easily know or learn about the history. So this is how we know about our history, though it is so old for many years. Okay. Now in the further it was said, with this we have come to know that there were more sources about knowing the history. Now what are they? Let's see. Before moving to this topic, let's have one more thing. Let me explain you one more thing. Okay, we had seen that how the administration records help us to learn about the history. This is the one main important, you can say, source of knowing the history. Now the other sources which help us to know more about the history is the survey that became important. Okay, now what is there in this topic? Okay, now what are the surveys? Survey became important. This is also another source of writing history. Okay, now what are surveys? Surveys are the recordings and examining a part of an area. Okay, so these are the surveys. Now surveys were being done. The practice of surveying also became common under the colonial administration. Okay, now the British believed that a country had to be properly known before it could be effectively administered. Now why were these surveys done by the Britishers? Because the Britishers believed that if they wanted to rule over India, before that they have to know about India very properly and clearly. Okay, so by the 19th century, detailed surveys were being carried out, okay, to map the entire country, like in the villages. Okay, now these surveys were conducted in the villages. Revenue surveys. Okay, the effort was to know the topography. What is topography? Topography means the arrangement of the natural and artificial physical features of an area. Means before ruling over India, the Britishers wanted to know about the proper records. Means people owned how much land, okay, in the villages. Okay, the soil quality, Why did they wanted to know the soil quality? They wanted to know about the soil quality because by knowing that they could easily come to know what quantity of crop could be grown on this land, so that they can arrange for the revenue. Okay. Then flora means about the plantation, what kind of plantation is there, fauna, animals, okay, and the cropping pattern. Cropping pattern means which crop is grown before. So before ruling over India, the Britishers wanted such kind of surveys to be done. Okay. And from the end of the 19th century, census operations were held. Census operations. What is census? What is census? Census means counting of the population. Okay. So from the end of the 19th century, the census operation was also held in every 10 years. Okay. Now these prepared detailed records of the number of people in all the provinces of India. Means this was done in all the provinces of India only because to know the each and every information about India, so that they could rule very easily. With the census, they also noted about the information on caste, religion, and about the occupation of the people. Okay. Now there were many other surveys also, like about botanical surveys, zoological surveys, archaeological surveys, anthropological surveys, and forest surveys. And these kind of different surveys the Britishers did only to know more about India, so that they could rule over it. Okay. We know about the history by all these records, as we are trying to know, right? The administrative work done by the Britishers were done in the written work. The surveys which were done by the Britishers also help us to know about the history. These are some important sources. But still there are some official records that do not tell us about the history. Now what are they? Let's see. Official histories, they are very detailed and easily available, as they were written by the Britishers, okay, British administration, but they do not help us in knowing what other people in the country or people who were not directly under the British rule felt, and what reasons were behind their actions. Means there are still and many things which are not being mentioned in the British records, and so we don't know much more, or many things you can say. We don't know many things about the history still, because they are not there in the records. And what do we don't know? We don't know about what other people in the country, okay, knowing about other people in the country, people who were not directly under the British rule. What about them? What does the history tell us about them? We don't know anything about it, because there is nothing been written in that. Okay. To know that official records are used, which of course are more difficult to find as compared to the official records. Now unofficial records, not there, because they were not been preserved. Now the official records, they were been preserved in the museums and the archives, so we can easily read it and know about how was the administration done by the Britishers. But what about the unofficial records which were not being maintained? So we don't know many things about the history because of it. But when we try to know about this, okay, when we try to know about this which are not there in the records, we can get it, but they are a bit difficult. Why? Because they are not the official records. Official records are being preserved and saved, so we can easily get it, we can read it and know about the history. But here we are talking about what official records do not tell us. Official records do not tell us about the unofficial things which have been done. Okay, unofficial things which were being done. We can come to know about it, but it is a bit difficult. But how could we know that? Now, if we want to know about it, we can know about it from some unofficial records. Now, which are these unofficial records? They are the personal diaries of the people. Personal diaries of the people means people must have written about that events or that incidents in their diary. Okay, accounts of travelers and pilgrims means the people who must have come to visit from one place to another, to visit India, okay, or to go for the worship from one place to another. They must have written something or the other about that incident or that period. Okay, autobiographies of important people. If we read the autobiography, means the life story, the story based on the life of an important person. In that autobiography or in that story, we may come to know about the history. So these are the unofficial, non-official records by which we can know about the history. Okay, by which we can know about the history. Official records do tell us about the British administration. Means how did the British government work, how did the British ruled, and how, what kind of rules, regulations, revenue, taxes, and this and that, everything. But what about the unofficial records, like the people who were not directly under the British rule, or what kind of behavior did the Britishers do with the people? Such kind of records are not there. That can only be found by the non-official records, by any diaries of the people of the olden days, of the at the time of British rule. Okay, by the travelers or the pilgrims who must have visited India at that time, by the autobiography. Okay, by some popular booklets at that time, of that time. The newspaper of that time may tell us many things about what was unofficially done. Okay, and we can of course also know about it by the poems, stories, novels which were written at that time. Okay, so there are many things which are not mentioned in the official records, but then too they are the history. Okay, and more like that, the sources about which we are talking right now, though they were the official records or they were the non-official records, they all were written by the literate people. Literate people means the people who were educated. Okay, now from these we will not be able to understand how history was experienced. Why? Because the literate people must have written, or they have written only about whatever they know. But what about the life of the farmers, or the life of the tribal people, or the worker categories, class of people, or the people who live on street, means you can say the beggars? They also have a history. Okay, what kind of life did they used to spend in the British rule? Such kind of thing to know in the history is a difficult task. So this is what official records do not tell us. Official records do not tell us about the life of a normal ordinary people. Okay, it only says about the official things, means what kind of administration, or how did the Britishers rule, and all the things. But about unofficial, like knowing about the life of farmers, tribals, beggars, workers, nothing is being written in that. Okay, now yet this can be done if we make a little bit effort. If we want to know more about, okay, we can read this book. You will see how this can be done. Okay, we can read this book. This book means if we learn the chapter more further. Chapter 1 we have learning now, and when we learn more further, we will come to know about some non-official records also. Okay, now during this chapter we have gone through some dates. Okay, now in the further chapters also we will go through some of the dates. Now that dates you have to note down, okay, because these dates are linked with some or the other incidents, okay. Here we end the chapter, but still there is more to know, okay. So now just note down the dates and what incidents happened with that, I'll tell you with it, okay. So start noting down the important datelines. Now the important datelines. 1920, what event or you can say what incident occurred in 1920. In 1920, the company builds the National Archives of India. The company builds the National Archives of India, okay. When New Delhi was built, the National Museum and the National Archives were both located close to the Viceregal Palace, okay. Now this location reflects the importance these institutions had in British imagination, okay. So this is the importance of 1920. Now moving to 1871. In 1871, James Mill, about which we had talked in this chapter, publishes a massive 3-volume book, and the name of that book was A History of British India. Okay? Note it down. 1871. Why is this date an important dateline? Because James Mill published a massive 3-volume work, and the book name was A History of British India. Okay. Now in 1782, James Rennell made a first map of India. James Rennell made first map of India. Okay. Now Rennell was asked by Robert Clive to produce maps of Hindustan. An enthusiastic supporter of British conquest of India, Rennell saw preparation of maps is essential to the process of domination. So what did he do? He made a map of India. So that was done in 1782. Now talking about 1773. In 1773, Warren Hastings became the first Governor General of India. And now moving to 1651. In 1651, the first English factory was set up on the banks of the river Hooghly. Okay? In 1651, the first English factory was set up on the banks of the river Hooghly. Okay? And in 1922, first advertisement of Lipton tea. I had given you an example of tea when I was explaining you about the periods. Okay? It was in 1922 when the tea was invented. Okay, the first advertisement of it was done in 1922. Advertisement for Lipton tea. Now in 1832, mapping and surveying operation was in progress in Bengal at that time. The surveys which the Britishers had done to rule India. Okay. So these are some important datelines. Now let's know something about some more facts about this history. Okay, let's have a look. In ancient Egyptian calendar, when the ancient Egyptian calendar was invented over 5,000 years ago, it was originally based on the lunar cycle of 12 months. Okay, when the calendar was made, just have a look on this, which the Egyptian grouped into 3 seasons for 4 months, each to coincide with the rise and fall of the waters of the river Nile. Okay, so what did they do? They made a calendar, and in that calendar they grouped this calendar into 3 seasons. And how did they divide this? They divided this calendar by the rise and fall of the river water Nile. Next, the Sanskrit word yoga means union, but in astronomical calculation it is used to mean alignment. Yoga in Sanskrit is the word means, if you ask in Sanskrit what is yoga, it will say union. Okay, but in astronomical calculations, if you ask yoga, it will say alignment. In 1946, the colonial government in India was trying to put down a mutiny that broke out on the ships of the Royal Indian Navy. Here, a sample of reports from the Home Department got the different dockyards. Bombay, arrangements have been made for the army to take over ships and the establishment. Royal Navy ships are remaining outside the harbour. Visakhapatnam, the position is completely under control and no violence has occurred. Military guards have been placed to on ships and establishment. No further trouble is expected except that a few men may refuse to work. Okay. Now here it's telling that in 1946, the colonial government in India were trying to put down the mutiny. Now what is mutiny? Mutiny means an open rebellion against the proper authorities, especially by soldiers or sailors against their work. So in 1946, there was a mutiny that broke out on the ships of the Royal Indian Navy. Okay, now what kind of reports were being passed at that time? Means at the Delhi harbour, or you can say the Mumbai harbour or Mumbai dockyard. Okay, the report was being made that arrangements have been made for the army to take over the ship and for establishment, and rest all the Royal Navy ships will remain outside. Then from Visakhapatnam, the same report was also asked. So they said that there are no kind of violence and the position is under control. When did this happen? When the sailors and the workers, when they said no to work, when they refused to work. So such kind of things had also happened. Lastly, let's see, of all the ancient calendar systems, the Mayan and the other Mesoamerican systems are the most complex. The Mayan calendar, for example, had 2 years, the 260-day sacred round and Solking, and the 365-day vague year, and all half. Now here they are talking about 2 ancient calendars. Okay, one calendar had 2 years, which was about of 260 days, and the other calendar was about 365 days. With this, we come to the end of chapter 1 and part 2 of chapter 1. Okay, I hope you must have understood about all the sources which were there and what kind of issues were also there with these sources. Okay, we have seen that how by the written documents of the British administration we come to know about the history. We have also seen that what do the official records do not tell us, means there is still much more to know about the history, but which is not there in the official documents. We have seen some important datelines also. Please keep noting down these dates, because in next chapter we would go for some battles, like we will go to know about some battles like Battle of Plassey, Battle of Panipat, and such kind of battles we are going to study about. So you have to note down each and every date. Okay. Now while going to the chapter, through the chapter we had seen, or we had gone through some important words. Now let's have the look on the vocabulary. For the vocabulary, our today's first word is topography. Topography. Topography means the arrangement of the natural and artificial physical features of an area. Okay, to know about the natural and artificial physical features of an area is known as topography. Census. Next word is census. CENSUS. Census means an official count or survey, especially you can say an official count of population. When the counting of population is being done, it is known as the census of that year. Reformers. Next word is reformers. Reformers means a person who makes changes to something in order to improve it. If a person wants some changes in the society to improve it, okay, then he is called as an reformer. Coincide. Coincide means occur at the same time. Next word, mutiny. Mutiny means an open rebellion against the proper authorities, especially by soldiers or sailors against their officers. Means to protest against something. Okay, to raise your voice against something. Dockyard. Dockyard means dockyard is an area where docks and equipments of repairing and maintaining ships are being done. So that is known as the dockyard. Harbor. Harbor means the place on the coast where ships may moor in shelter. Means you can say where the ships are being kept. And dockyard is the place where the equipments of repairing or maintaining of the ships are being done or kept. Our last word is pilgrim. Pilgrim means a person who journeys to a sacred place. Means you can say like to go for some yatra or something. Okay. So that is called pilgrim. Pilgrim, a person who journeys to a sacred place for religious reasons. Okay. So to travel for religious reason is called pilgrim. Okay. So these are the word meanings. I'll repeat all the words again. Topography, census, reformers, coincide, mutiny, dockyard, harbor and pilgrim. Let's have a look on the exercise. Please note down each and every question. I'll repeat the answer also. Okay. After the vocabulary, let's have a look on the exercise. For the exercise, our today's first fill in the blanks is: the British believed that the act of dash was important. The British believed that the act of dash was important. What? The act of writing was important, because they believed that whatever documents, important documents you can say, are there in any form, they should be in a written condition. They should be handwritten. Okay. Why did British take surveys? Why did the Britishers take survey? Because the Britishers believed that a country had to be properly known before it could be effectively administered. Okay. Why did the Britishers believed that why did the Britishers take survey? Because they believed that the country, any country, okay, that a country should be properly known before it should be effectively administered. So they took survey of India. Now, what are the official records? The official records which were kept preserved by the Britishers, what were they? The official records were decisions, agreements, investigations, plans, policies, memos, notions. These were the official records through which we come to know about the history of that time. Okay. Next question. What are some non-official records? Some non-official records, I had given you a result that the official records do not tell us everything about the history. Okay, there are some kinds of, still there is some history which is not there in the records, and that records are known as non-official records. Okay, which is related with history, but nothing is mentioned about it in the official history. So name what are some of the non-official records. So some non-official records are the personal diaries of the people who used to write the diaries about any incident or any event happened at that time. By the accounts of the travelers and pilgrims who came to visit India, or you must have traveled or visited anyway. Okay, autobiographies of the important people, that also tells us some kind of important history, but that is counted in non-official records. Popular booklets, newspapers of that time, okay, and the writings of the reformers, poems and novelists. The poems written by the poets at that time, they also mention the, you can say, incidents, or you can say something about that time, something about that history. Okay, so these are some of the non-official records. Next question: how were the records preserved during the British rule? I had told you that the Britishers used to write all the records, but after writing that they had to preserve it so that they can use it anytime. Okay, so the records were preserved by the Britishers in the archives or the museums. Archives and museums. The records were preserved by the Britishers in the archives and museums. Next, dash operations are held every 10 years. Which operations? Census, CENSUS. Okay, census operations are held every 10 years. Next, when was the ancient Egyptian calendar invented? The ancient Egyptian calendar was invented 5,000 years ago. The ancient Egyptian calendar was invented 5,000 years ago. Okay, with this we come to an end of chapter 1. Okay, we have completed this chapter into 2 parts. Now you have to learn all the question answers of part 1 and part 2. Learn the vocabulary also, so that the hard words which come in the question answers will be easy for you to understand. Okay, till then, have a good day. Take care. Bye.